I wasn't expecting anything very different.
Okay.
But what I miscalculated was how comfortable I'll be with it.
It's scary how much we adapt to the comfort, right?
It is unbelievable. I mean, I love this country. This country is home for me. I think of this country as home, but you almost become like this little soft, squishy thing.
Hello and welcome. Today I am here with CJ.
Hello.
CJ is my friend, my client, and she got through some very intense and interesting experience in last week, two weeks ago, where she decided that she will climb a Mont Blanc.
Yes.
And conquer the, what is it, second tallest?
So Mont Blanc is the first tallest. Bad weather, didn't end up going.
In Europe.
In Europe.
Okay.
So we ended up going to Monte Rosa, which is the second tallest.
Yeah, we'll go through all that. First of all, give us some fitness background. Not like I don't know, but just generally, so there is some idea. And what was your sport like when you were a child, and how you got into training? What is your training like, and so on?
So I don't think I did much sport when I was younger. I just climbed trees, rode around with the boys, just some wild things. But I don't think I ever focused towards any fitness goal while I was growing up at all. On and off, dabbled going to the gym here and there through quite a few years. Didn't quite enjoy it. Again, was not training for anything particular. Didn't know much about fitness. So about 10 years ago, I think 8-9 years ago, I think I kind of really got into it. Thanks to a friend who was training pretty hard at that point. So I got
He's still training hard.
He's still training hard. He'll always be training hard.
Yeah.
So I got in. I started with one of these regular gyms, and then kind of got into PT, and that kind of changed my life. CrossFit for the longest. Again, changed trainers. Found you, stuck to you. Gonna stick to you unless something changes.
It's working.
It's working so far. Is it working? I don't know. I haven't stood up yet today.
Yeah. Well, so just so we get the context, we just finished the session and
an intense leg workout.
Yeah. Intense leg focus smash, because that was the whole point also before the prep for the mountains.
Let me take you to the mountains, literally.
Yes, exactly.
Make you feel the pain all over again.
Exactly. So today's idea was before the podcast, to tune you into how it felt there when you were questioning all the choices. So but you were growing up next to Ram, right?
Yes, next to my brother who was playing semi-pro cricket while I was growing up. So all my life I've seen him really train hard, really go after it. Lots of sacrifices, kept after it for years. I mean, he was playing under 13, under 16, under 19. So, yeah. I've been exposed to it, haven't done it myself.
Okay.
It was fun watching from the side.
Yeah, and also made you hate it a little bit, right?
Yeah, the game, yes.
Yeah.
It's like childhood trauma, PTSD.
CJ, when you decided to train that 8-9 years ago, what was the trigger? Why you decided that, okay, now it's the time that I will take it seriously?
So at that point, my motive, I think, was weight loss. I was coming off one of the organizations I was working for, really toxic, put on a lot of weight, didn't have enough time to cook or eat. I was living literally off Red Bull, crisps, chocolates, like quick food, whatever you can find. And I put on a lot of weight that year. So when I moved to this new organization and I met Anit, and his wife at that point was training with somebody, and he was like, I was like, can I have the number? If you guys like PT, can do PT. Why not? Let's try it. And that kind of got me hooked. And then I kind of moved to another trainer, Anit's trainer at that point, who was into CrossFit. Did a lot of hardcore CrossFit. Again, probably didn't understand form or, my body all that well at that point. Then I kind of found Megan, and then she left and I found you, and I was like, oh, this is what life is. You don't have to walk out of the gym dying every day. You can actually breathe, feel good, use it to train.
Exactly. That was a big paradigm shift, right?
Yeah.
Coming to an environment where it wasn't 5 different workouts back to back and just like feeling like shit
it was
at the end of the day.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember a couple of initial sessions, we actually had the chat saying, I don't feel like I'm doing enough.
Yeah, I know.
Because you feel like, if you're not walking out of here dead.
I had that from all of you. You know, like this,
it was a collective.
Yeah, everybody who came to me from this group, everyone's like, but I don't really feel like I'm doing much. Well, no, but
you have no idea how much we spoke about that behind your back, though.
Yeah, I don't want to know. But like the volume actually decreased to maybe 30% of what you were doing before.
Yeah.
However, it took some time to...
It took some time, but once you kind of figure the other side out, it's really difficult to go back to what it is. I mean, you need to understand your body. You need to work with your body. You need to feel good with what you do. There's no point feeling shit.
Yeah, and over time also we fixed some
injuries.
Injuries and issues.
Over a long time. It took a while.
Yeah.
it took a while.
Yeah, but it's...
it was worth it.
Yeah, it's working.
It's working.
It's working for you. Also with the, you have so much load and volume in work, right?
Yes.
You're very busy.
That's true.
What is your like work day, like 8 to 5?
8 to 5.
Yeah, but that's like you clock in and you just go all out, right?
Most days, yes.
Yeah, so, and that's for most people. And even you are not that busy and you have the time, but the training, you should not leave training feeling worse than when you came.
Yeah.
And not worse body-wise, but also about yourself, that, oh shit, I wasn't able to do this and I wanted to, I don't know, get some new skill, but I even can't because I'm so tired and overwhelmed.
Yeah, and a lot of these sessions are also after work, right? Because of
most
the timing.
Most
of it for us as well. Like half of my sessions are after work. And it's really important not to walk out of it feeling trashier than when you came in, because you're coming in with already all that stress. And honestly, I think almost all the sessions have been, you walk out of there feeling good. It's almost like therapy.
Yeah. However, that doesn't mean that CJ is not bitching enough on everything that we do.
It's a little jokes on the side,
Yeah,
a little negotiation here and there.
Yeah, but I really liked what you said the other day. That was like a catchphrase for me when I asked, like, okay, before the workout, do you have any questions? And you're like, I don't have questions, but I have comments. I was like, that's so...
Listen, if I just came in here, did what you asked me to do and just left, like, how boring would it be?
Yeah, where's the fun in that?
Where's the fun in that?
Exactly. So, yeah, I'm not complaining at all.
Okay.
I like it a lot. So, okay, when the idea of, okay, I want to climb the tallest mountain in Europe, where it came from, why that kind of activity?
Okay, so I'll have to rewind a couple of years. So, but 5 years ago, I think I was like this new whole discover outdoors and discover life phase. And I started picking up one thing to do every year. Like literally beginning of the year, I'd make 2 of my closest friends, I won't name them, sit with me and say, okay, let's make a list of everything we want to do this year. Okay. First year, I mean, we'd just done skiing. Ruchi and I had gone skiing just a couple of months before the new year. And I was
you won't name them, huh?
Yeah, I won't.
Too late, okay.
But so we'd gone skiing. I just tried skiing for the first time, and so I was like, that year I'll do skiing. Next year I was like, oh, you know what? Need to try other things. Like life is so unexplored. Must try something. And I had friends at that point at work who were doing scuba, and I was like, oh, this sounds like a brilliant idea. Didn't know how to swim. Booked
That's brilliant. But I mean, this is just showing like there are no obstacles at all.
No,
you can't swim, but you want to scuba dive? Let's go for it, right?
Let's go for it. So I'd booked a holiday with a friend to Zanzibar. I was like, okay, you know what? Before that, I'm going to dive in the Indian Ocean, so I need the scuba diving certificate. I was like, okay, let's rewind a little more. I need to learn how to swim. So I did a couple of swimming lessons, got decent enough to go through the scuba. Just like literally days before I left on this holiday, got my scuba license, went there and did my first dive. So it was one of those, like I wanted to try new things.
What is, just to go into this a little bit deeper, when you say you got your scuba license,
yeah,
what it means? Like you can go on your own?
I can go with somebody. Scuba, you never go alone. You're always with somebody, no matter how experienced you are. And you can do it's called an open water certification. So you can do, I want to say 20 feet, 20 meters, 20 feet.
Okay.
Deep.
Well, that's different.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Is
It's
it
very
feet
different.
or meters?
Blanked out right now, but
okay,
one of them.
But I would say more likely
Meters.
feet.
Feet.
No? I know. Was the pressure high?
I was.
Okay, that might be meters as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. The deepest I ever went was, but without the gear, was 5 meters, and I thought that my head is going to pop. So
Okay.
I don't know.
That's probably feet then.
Yeah. So I understand it with a scuba, you need to go with somebody, but the certification means that you don't need instructor anymore, or
No, certification means that you understand, because it is reasonably technical as well. You need to know how to use the gear. You need to know how to breathe. You need to know how to come back up and stay at a place long enough so you can, let the nitrogen flow out of your body. There are a lot of technical aspects to it. So it means that you're qualified to dive. If you don't have a certification, it's not the smartest thing to go diving yourself. It's not one of those things where you're like, oh, I just strap it on and I jump off.
But you can.
You can.
Theoretically. It's not like there is a scuba police and they will fine you.
There
okay.
isn't.
Okay.
It's just if you value your life,
so
you try to learn something about it.
All right. All right. It's like, okay, we can do it one way or we can do it the right way. Yeah. Okay. So you go to your scuba and you went to Zanzibar.
Yeah, to do the scuba. So, I mean, I kept doing different things. And then I think just pre-COVID, I wanted to do Kilimanjaro. So I was like on Instagram, I think I saw this video of this guy who just started this company, and he'd taken this whole bunch of people to Kilimanjaro, all of them across a bonfire singing Bohemian Rhapsody. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to climb a mountain and sing.
Oh, not the singing, yeah?
Yeah, pretend.
Included.
Yeah, included. So I was like following these guys to see where all they're doing, what they're doing. And then anyway, COVID happened. That went for a toss. So I woke up in April one afternoon. I was like, you know how COVID has made all of us feel like, okay, time is running out. You need to life is now. I mean, that's a huge realization for me. I was like, no, don't wait till next year, and don't wait for this, that, whatever else. Just go. And don't wait for people. Like, even if you have nobody else, just book and go. Life is not going to wait for anybody. Just do it. So anyway, I woke up and I was going to sign up for Kilimanjaro. And I was like, oh, let's see what else they have. So just flipping through it, and I saw this. And I was like, snow-covered mountain. That's it. Needs to happen. It said Mont Blanc for first-timers. So I was like, hey, first-timer, let's sign up. Yeah. That's
okay. Is there any... Wait a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there any prerequisite or what? So you sign up.
So you sign up.
Pay some deposit or whatever.
You pay some deposit. You like have a chat to ask them what questions you have. I mean, nobody's strictly checking any prerequisites, but you require some minimum level of fitness, I'm assuming, to climb a mountain.
Yeah, of course. But do they tell you this?
They tell you this.
So they tell you what?
They tell you that you need to be really fit. And in fact, after you sign up, they give you this guideline of training and nutrition and whatever else.
Okay, but there is not, let's say, a list of you should be able to, I don't know, be able to hike this kind of steep mountain for this amount of time.
There are some suggestions.
Okay. So kind of rules that what
So
the
kind of
minimal
a
requirement.
roadmap saying that, you should ideally be able to do that. At the end of the day, everybody's an adult. If you think you're good enough to go there with nothing, then go.
Yeah, but this is very tricky for many people, Many people, there might be two extremes, right? People who think they can.
True.
And then they come there and it's...
Yeah, and it is. But it isn't like you go there and the first day they put you on the mountain, right? There's like 3 or 4 days of training. You're doing different things. They're assessing your skill. And I'm sure on the day, if they think you can't do that mountain, they move you to something else that
really?
they think that you can do. Yes.
Okay.
So on the day before, people are paired depending on their strength level. So, people can keep up with each other. They're 2 people to 1 guide, and they do actually segregate you in different directions if they think you can't make it. They will not put you on a mountain if they think you can't. If they don't think you can do it.
That's also probably why having a guide is very important.
That's true.
Because
and a company that's responsible enough to be looking at what they're
because
doing.
Because they know what is kind of required. They can assess it way better than a first comer, right? Yeah. So there was no problem. You sign up, pay the deposit. They send you some instructions and stuff. And it's like, okay, so this is how this is how you should kind of train.
Yeah,
this
is how you should train. This is ideally how you should eat. They give you a fairly detailed idea. And honestly, YouTube, you can YouTube pretty much anything these days. So did a bit of that, not too much of it. I think I came to you and said, "Oh, I'm climbing a mountain."
Well, you sent me some links.
I sent you some links. I watched the Q&A and a couple of other things.
And I was like, let's smash your legs.
Yeah, let's smash your legs all day, every day until you go.
Yeah, but not in the meaning of, 5x5 squats, but
of course.
actually the long endurance, steep inclines, some weight vest because you will be carrying some stuff.
Which is something that you're not used to, right? It gives you, the training gave me a fair idea of what it will be like.
Yeah. And yet,
it gave me no idea what it will be like.
Yeah, I got the message. Fuck, I really underestimated this.
Yeah. Because you think,
But that was in the moment.
That was
right?
in the moment.
Like
now
the perspective is different.
Now the perspective is completely different. I mean, obviously in the moment I was like, what is this? I mean, going in, I know.
Okay, let's go step by step. Okay, so the day comes, you get all the gear you need, which is super funny to get the mountain climbing and the Mont Blanc prep gear in Dubai. Yeah,
you don't. I mean, I didn't find a lot of it, so I had to go a day early to pick up stuff from there. It's really funny when you're walking around asking for thermals in Dubai in the middle of summer.
Okay.
People look at you strange, but funnily enough, a lot of at least the 2 or 3 stores that most people get things from, they know what they're talking about. So if you're buying a jacket, for example, the guy will tell you, oh, if it's good enough for Mont Blanc, it's good enough for base camp, it's good enough for Kilimanjaro, but it's not good enough for XYZ things. So they know it's.
That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. You have people skilled in selling gear for Kilimanjaro in the middle of the
Dubai.
desert.
There are people skilled for selling anything.
They'll sell it anyway, right?
Exactly.
One way or the other.
One way or another.
Okay, so you fly to where you fly?
So I flew to Chamonix. I flew to Geneva in Switzerland, which is the closest airport to the Alps. And they kind of pick you up and they take you to Chamonix, which is like the base at the foothills of Mont Blanc.
And that moment, the company is responsible for everything.
So I signed up with one of these companies that picks you up and drops you back, and everything in between is kind of.
You can say the name of the company as well.
It's Life Happens Outdoors. If anybody wants to.
Life Happens Outdoors.
Yeah. If anybody wants to sign up, I think one of the most responsible people, the most fun I've had in a very, very long time.
Also a little bit more expensive, right?
Marginally more expensive, but worth it, because at every step of the way they were explaining what they were doing. They were telling us when we'll come to that bit, but when they had to change the entire itinerary, they actually did it really beautifully. We didn't even feel it. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, people, whether this is not happening, we're going to do this. They had a plan B, they had a plan C, and if all else fails, I bet they had a plan D, which thankfully I didn't figure it out. But
they went that far.
No, they didn't. But it was really well done.
Okay.
And super responsible as well.
So you came there, they pick you up?
So they pick you up the first day. I mean, I went a little early. So despite which I'd arranged for them to kind of pick me up and take me. So first day we buy everything. Day 2, everybody else starts landing and you have this welcome dinner. And they're telling you, you're staying and sharing accommodation. So they pair you up with people of the same sex and you kind of share a room with people, which was kind of strange for me. I was like, how sharing a room?
How long this didn't happen for you?
With a random new person?
Never. Oh, okay. So you're
why would I share a room with a random new person?
Well, I had it on my uni dormitory, and until I was with only my brother, we also shared the room with some other person.
Oh no, this was the first for me. This trip had a lot of firsts for me. Okay. A lot of firsts for me.
Well, okay, so
then they started.
How big was the group? How many people were there?
There were 8 people.
8 people as the clients. And you had a couple of instructors.
You had the guy who runs the company. He's the lead. And then you have the guy who's arranging everything for you. And then there are guides who come and go depending on what skill you're training that day.
Oh, okay.
And then a couple of them are there with you throughout.
So you have pros for every single bit.
Little step of the way. So from the first day they took us to the glacier, and most of us weren't wearing those boots. We'd never worn those boots before or put on crampons before. And there was a guy telling us how to do it, how to walk, how to fall, how to arrest your fall, how to use an ice axe. That was one.
So what was the demographic of your group of 8?
It was really strange because we had people who were 55, 56, I want to say. A couple of ladies from Saudi who were that age group, and they were like 27, 28-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, you walk in and you have all these preconceived notions, right? Oh, this one's from here. Like, oh my god, how is this going to be? Like, this whole variety of age group.
Yeah. When you say 55-year-old from Saudi, you would not expect somebody who signed up for Mont Blanc.
Oh my god, these women were so inspirational and so fabulous. It was like an understatement. I was like, oh, I want to be you when I grow up. It is amazing.
When I grow up.
And this is not even the first time they're doing it. They've done Elbrus, they've done Kilimanjaro.
Really?
And each one of them in their own way, just bloody amazing.
Wow.
And then you're thinking, how will I get along with all these people? Because they're like 27, 28-year-olds. I'm somewhere in the middle. These guys are like a little older. But there's something about doing like sharing a trauma experience that kind of makes families out of strangers, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. The more intense it is, the more you bond, right?
Exactly. So actually, I was telling about this to Rami, the guy who owns and runs Life. Him and his wife own and run Life Happens Outdoors. Mm-hmm. So I was chatting with him, and I was like, it was so strange that you get along with every single person. Like, every single person, and everybody's rooting for you. You're rooting for everybody else. It's completely different, and you're thinking, what are the chances of that happening? And he said something really funny. He's like, listen, the fact that all of you are here and you picked to do this means that there's a certain level of insanity that's already there, and a certain level of similar insanity that's already there. So what are the chances that you're not going to bond?
Basically, you're fucked up in a similar
way. So you know what?
If you don't share anything else, you share
this is enough.
Yeah, you share that one thing. Well, that sounds like a very reasonable explanation for that. All right, so then you have the dinner. You meet everybody.
So you have a dinner, you meet everybody. Next day, you kind of wake up and you do a glacier training to figure out how to wear your boots and crampons and ice axe. And, you're actually hiking for a really long period of time as well. So you're walking. I mean, the weather is very pleasant. It's green. It's beautiful. But you're still walking for an extended period of time.
So how high on the altitude was this?
I don't think it was really high. I honestly don't know exactly how it was. But it was just one of the smaller hill almost compared to Mont Blanc, I think.
Just like a local hill.
The closest glacier that they could find. So we went there for training. And then you kind of come back. There's a debriefing. There's a team dinner every evening. You're getting together. You have enough chill time as well in the middle to kind of do nothing. And
do they give you any kind of feedback? Obviously, like, they tell you how to do the stuff and they let you try it.
No.
But not like, well, CJ, if you want to really make it, you need to focus on this, or something like that. So it's not really like training. It's just like exposing you to it, so you have some idea.
Yeah, exposing to. I bet after seeing us in such different circumstances, and some of the days were like super stressful as well for most people. You have a 2:30 a.m. start. You're on your feet climbing mountains till about 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And they don't put you, but the whole thing is stressful in general. Physically, and you haven't slept, you're sharing rooms, there's like all this added pressure, and they see how you react to that. And I'm sure they have feedback to give, but they don't necessarily give it to you. They're just really nice about it. They're like,
it probably wasn't too bad, right?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, I'm assuming. It's like, you're not going to die tomorrow, it's fine, I don't need to tell you that.
If you're surviving, we did. Let's move on. Okay. So you do, first day was training in the...
First day was training on the glacier. I think the second day we went, first day was training on the glacier. Then there was rock climbing, which was super fun. I think that's my new thing that I'm going to pick up. I was actually told I walk better than I climb. I mean, I climb rocks better than I walk. So I was like,
well, then maybe you had to do something with your ankle later.
Possibly, but this was way before that. This was during the training itself. So in between one of the days, to acclimatize, you go to this hut. Or more like a dormitory in the middle of the mountain, and you spend the night there. So you spend the day trekking up, you do a little small summit, come back into the hut, and you spend the night there, just so your body gets used to that. That was, I think, 3,600 meters, 3,700 meters.
Okay.
So Alve Premier Hut. So you're spending the night there. That was my first rude shock to say that I'm so not prepared for this.
Why?
Simply because they were like, you had to share a room with like 10 people.
Okay.
You're lying there. in the cold. Somebody's snoring, somebody's on the phone, somebody's turning around, and you're just lying there thinking, "Oh my god, I just want to sleep.
Yeah,
I just want to sleep."
Camp in second grade, right?
Yeah, and if you've never, I can't explain it to somebody who's already done it, but if you've never done it, you really haven't. And there are these, unisex loos, and you're just like, oh, 2:30 in the morning, please, finish your stuff. To a 3 o'clock breakfast, 3:30 ready. And when they say ready, they mean all 4 layers, booted, cramponed, ready to kind of leave.
Was everybody able to follow that?
Pretty much.
Yeah, like there was not problems with that at all. Yeah.
No. I mean, the anxiety was so much. I think that we were getting an hour and a half up earlier. Then
you didn't. Nobody wanted to be the one. Yeah.
The one who will hold everybody else back.
Yeah.
So we had to spend the night there. Then we come back into town, and the next day is the rock climbing, which was, again, it's a reasonably chill day. You're, you don't have your boots on, and by then your feet have blistered like crazy. Like my foot was bandaged all across on the edges because,
all around.
Yeah, this is Dubai. We walk in flip-flops.
Yeah.
We don't really wear mountaineering boots. So anyway, so you had to do rock climbing with those mountaineering boots as well, because you need to know how it is to be able to climb on the mountain. With those
the grip's different.
The grip's different. The feel's different. Everything is different. That was a super fun day. So yeah, and then...
And you just you spot each other.
You spot each other. I mean, I learned to tie my first 8 knot. Had one of these guys I met, tied a knot for him. Poor thing trusted me with his life, and I was belaying him from down as well. So it was super fun.
And okay, so you just do like a couple of climbs.
You do a couple of climbs. You belay a couple of people. You understand both sides of it. You figure out how to do this.
More like a skill fun training, yeah?
More like a skill fun training. And kind of a really much needed break in the middle of this exceedingly stressful this thing. Because the night before, when we'd gone to the Albe Premier Hut, you had to wake up in the morning and do a trial summit. So the trial summit starts at like 2:30. You're leaving base at 2:30 in the morning, and you're walking out just with your headlamp on, nothing else. Obviously, there are no street lights. there were
no
stars,
streets.
but they were not shining bright enough. And you had to walk through this like really rocky patch. And the idea of doing that in the middle of the night is that the snow is at its coldest, so it's holding the rocks in place. Whereas if you do it, because obviously Europe has had a really bad summer as well. So if you do it a little later in the day, the ice starts melting and the rock starts falling, which is fine in theory. Great, 8 of us.
It's fine if you're not there.
It's fine if you're not there. You're watching videos on YouTube. Hey, great. But then you start setting off, and you're all going one after the other, climbing this like really rocky terrain, scrambling, I think it's called. And suddenly there's this lady behind me, and both of us are like chatting and still walking. And you can hear the rocks before you can see them. So you hear it like a thunder. And you look up, and you have like these whole bunch of rocks kind of tumbling down at you. And you're like a rabbit with headlights on. You don't know what to do. So there was like this one huge rock that came and hit her ankle, and I was turning around and looking to see what we can do. And then suddenly I heard somebody scream, "Run, run, 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 run." I look up, and there's this huge boulder, kind of flattish, but like bigger than I am, tumbling down towards both of us. Oh my God. Honestly, I mean, I said this before and I'll say this again. I did my monkey ancestors proud. 3 minutes later, boom, on the other side. And I flew through those rocks. And it's...
How did you know what direction to run?
So you can see the lights, because there are 7, 8 of us. There are guides. There are people. So you can see... No, I just ran in the front. I just ran away from that falling thing. That's it.
Okay, so you were not really like,
I was not aiming
where
for
do
anything.
I run?
No.
Okay.
There was no logic to this this run at all. It was just get out of the way as quickly as you can. And thankfully it kind of stopped about 10 feet away from us. And they were like, okay, guys, we need to move through this really, really quickly. And absolute silence. And this is something that they keep saying. And I kind of understood this after this. It's like, it's really important to follow directions. You might not understand those directions. Your body might be screaming, saying, "I'm tired, I don't want to follow those directions." But if you don't follow those directions, there are consequences. And so there was no negotiation. And you know how hard that is for me, like to stand there and not negotiate, try not to. It was like, oh, can I just walk a little slower?
Yeah, so all the training attitude had to be put aside.
Put aside. It's like new me.
Okay, yeah, well, I know how hard it is for you to only do what you told.
Yeah,
and not to question
it.
Yeah,
like, what? But I kind of really see what they mean. Like, don't question it. If they're telling you to walk faster, walk faster. If they're telling you to slow down, slow down. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, and they're all like super certified guides. They've been doing this half of their lives. I think Philippe, who was a total sweetheart, he climbed Mont Blanc, I think 98 times, 95 times. They're like,
I think he needs to keep a written record because you're not going to remember, right? It's like, it was my 67th time when this happened, right? Like, what the fuck?
But So so then the next day anyway, we came back, and it's really funny that when you're in that traumatic experience, I mean, nobody is sitting and like crying and moaning about it. You're just trying to get over it as soon as you can. So you come back to the hut. Amazing experience. Like, everybody is sitting in this, like a room probably slightly bigger than this, 70 people sitting there, all having a drink or a hot chocolate or a coffee or whatever else, and laughing their head off and making jokes. And I mean, you really bond with people. Mm-hmm. And thankfully I had like this amazing bunch of people. It was
how was the food of the lady? You said
she had a few. She had a bit of this thing, but nothing too major. I mean, she
was able to continue.
She was able to. So we finished that bit. Then we started on the glacier, and then it started kind of giving her a little bit of trouble. So we were 4 people roped to one guide, and 2 of the ladies decided to kind of turn around. So they kind of left, and there was just 2 of us tied to a guide doing these trial summit push, if you will, mm-hmm. which again that was for me really hard as well. It just miles and miles of snow, glacier, walk, and you look ahead of you, there's like a whole kilometer to go, and it's not a straight path, right? Like, you're walking, traversing through it. Like Philippe said, slowly but surely, 1 foot in front of the other, just keep going. But it was exhausting. I mean, there's nothing. There's, like, you're looking at it, you're like, oh my God, there's so much more to go. And then you turn around and oh my God, there's so much more. There's so much I've done, which means that there's so much more I need to do on my way down as well. So, because somebody like I think we discussed this before I went, like, getting to the summit is only half job done.
Yeah.
And most people get there and they're like, oh, job done. But no, you need to come back as well.
Yeah.
It is.
I heard this from one guy who is, I think he did all the top 7, 10, whatever peaks in the world. And he had this lecture which I attended, and he was repeating it all the time. The goal for the climber, or whatever you call it, the hiker, is not to get up.
It's to come down.
It's to come home. Come home alive. So you always have to account energy, resources, whether it's, food, water, whatever you're feeling, how much you can do. You always have to account that there is a way back home as well. Yes, it's usually way faster, but It doesn't mean that it's
any easier.
Nothing. Yeah, it's still significant.
And that was the thing. I mean, although I was really tired, and at some point, obviously, you start to question yourself and you start to question everybody around you. But at no point did I feel like these guys didn't know what they were doing. Like, nobody was putting us in a circumstance where you couldn't do what was asked of you. Mm-hmm. So after about day 2 or day 3, you suddenly develop this huge level of comfort, saying, okay, Mont Blanc sounds really hard. But if they're saying we can do it, we can do it. Or if they're saying you can't do it, you can't do it.
So at the same time of the training, you build the trust.
You are, because you're also, I mean, they're watching you, but you're also watching them. Mm-hmm.
You better be watching them.
You better be watching them. Your life depends on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so the training was 4 days?
The training was about 4 days, yes.
And then?
So on the fourth day night, we had a team briefing, and we were told that Mont Blanc, there's really, really bad wind out there, 50 kilometers an hour, I think. Not the greatest of conditions to climb. And we will be rerouting towards Italy, the Italian side of the Alps. Like, Chamonix is here, Italy starts, like, the border is by half an hour away. So we will be going into Italy and climbing Monte Rosa, which is again like Mont Blanc, a massif, which is mountains that are not separated by valleys. It's just mountains after mountains. So we'll be trying some of them there, and we'll be staying on the Italian side of the heart. It's okay.
Was it disappointing?
For all of 2 seconds, to be honest.
Okay.
Like literally all of 2 seconds. Because by then I was also like, okay, I was having doubts about, okay, how hard is Mont Blanc going to be? And am I really ready for it? I mean, you train physically, but am I mentally really ready for it? And it was like, it's fine. At some point you realize that it's not about getting up there. It's about what you do.
Yeah.
And
the
what
experience
it takes
itself.
to, yeah.
It doesn't matter what's the name of the mountain, right?
No, it doesn't.
When so partly relief, right?
Partly relief as well, to be brutally honest, yes.
Yeah.
Partly relief as well. I was like, because they kept saying that Mont Blanc is not that technical, but it's a different kind of a climb. But I mean, you hear all these things, but you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
And by then, I was already struggling with sleep because I'm just not used to sharing spaces with people or staying in a hut or, using.
So when you were going, the toilet, right?
The toilet, yes. I was like, oh, see, it's not that I wasn't expecting anything very different.
Okay.
But what I miscalculated was how comfortable I'll be with it. So
that's a very good point.
Yeah, so I knew exactly what it was. I've read enough. I've watched enough of videos. They tell you enough to know that you're going to be. I mean, and it is mountain. There are people. You're just human. There is no woman, man, old, young, whatever your skin color is. Like nothing matters. You're just human on the mountain. All of you trying to do something. That's it.
And survive
while you're at it. So I walk into this loo. That was hilarious. I walk into this loo and you can already, because there's no running water, right? Like there are like tubs of water lying around for you to use for whatever. I walk into this loo, open the door, and the most beautiful view I have ever seen in my life. There is like this little window and you're looking at the mountain straight and the mountain ridges. And I was like, oh my God, this
postcard,
is
huh?
Picture perfect, like picture perfect. The fact that it was coming from the loo was like completely a different story, but it was picture perfect. I look at that and I looked down, I was like, oh, Indian toilet.
A hole in the ground.
A hole in the ground. How does one use this? Indian, have used it before, childhood. Have spent a lot of time using that before. But I've been in Dubai for 18 years now. So I was like, oh my God, how's this going to work?
Well,
one of my friends
It's scary how much we adapt to the comfort, right?
It is unbelievable. I mean, I love this country. This country is home for me. I think of this country as home. But you almost become like this little soft, squishy thing. And just being out there kind of makes you realize, I mean, it's a simple thing. I've used Indian loos all my life. I've been in trains that have Indian loos. I mean, it's not something that I haven't seen before. But that moment where I had to stand there, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Like, I can hold longer.
Yeah, and there were like so many jokes about this. One of the guys who was there, he's Indian origin, but as a doctor in the US, Abdullah. I'm hilarious as shit, right? And a really, really nice guy. And he goes, dude, pro tip, you need to aim in such a way that whatever happens, you just go straight in the hole. And I was like, that's really how it works. He's like, no, this is a pro tip. Like my mommy told me, this is how it's done. And you're sitting there, you're thinking, oh my God, I'm taking pro tip from another Indian.
Science of giving a shit.
Science of giving a shit, literally. So yeah, and you're sitting there. Okay, also, you have to understand that by that point, your legs are like jelly. Mm-hmm. Okay? And you're holding on to like this little wooden stick and you're trying to do your business. And you can feel something move. Like the whole thing move just a little bit.
Oh, the whole thing?
Yeah, just this tiny little bit. And then I come out, I'm like, Rami, I was on the loo and it felt like something was moving. And he was like, yeah, it's at the edge of the mountain. What do you expect? There's wind outside. And then you're like, oh, I didn't think about that one.
Yeah, imagine looking through the window and you see the avalanche coming, right?
Yeah, thankfully the window was behind.
Okay.
So it was not
okay. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of uncomfortable first.
Also, when you said you were not really used to that sleep and stuff, like what time you were going to bed when you had to wake up at 2:30?
So 6:30 was dinner. You finish dinner by about 7:30, and then you're free to do what you do. But then you're tired, but you're also very wired. It's cold outside. I mean, you have this bursts of energy, and then you're trying to wind down. Everybody's trying. There's 8 people. Not we're just 8 of us, but there are 100 people trying to finish, brushing their teeth, doing all the business, changing, getting into bed, and then you get into bed. I think for 4 days at a row, my recovery on my Whoop was in the red, dangerously low.
Well, I was watching it.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, of course. We have the group, right? And I just seen, it was like, recovery, 1%.
Oh, that was summit day.
Strain, 20.6. I was like, well, it can't get any worse than that.
Yeah. It just literally
what the fuck,
get worse
you
than
have
that.
the most challenging day and you started with the
1%.
shittiest recovery you can get.
And
Wow.
you're also, and it's also really quiet. It is really quiet. There is no traffic. There is nothing. There is no birds chirping. There's literally nothing except the sound of the wind, which means that every little sound is so magnified. The most hilarious stuff. So one of the first days that we went for a training summit, we figured that somebody snores. Okay, one of the group snores. Now the whole mission for every night thereafter was to figure out who snores.
And kill them.
Kill them.
Eliminate them. On the rock climbing day, ideally, right?
I was like, oh, sorry, gentle push down. Oops.
They're like, you can go, I hold
so
you.
On the summit night, it was hilarious. So Abdullah and I were like, tonight we're going to figure out who snores. And the bunk beds are amazing, right? So you get into the room and we're 8 people in a room. So there's bunk bed, bunk bed, bunk bed, bunk bed. It's really well done. 8 people in a room. The comfiest of beds I've ever slept in.
Hard mattresses?
No, pretty nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me,
that would be ideal, but for us,
better, yeah.
yeah. No, and duvets and pillows and everything was beautifully done. So all the ladies got the bottom end, the 3 guys got the top, literally 1 foot away from the roof, bunk beds. There were only 3 guys, so they were sitting there. So in the middle of the night, you can hear this Abdullah scrambling from one bunk bed to the other bed, trying to figure out who is snoring. And I'm lying there thinking, I need to get up in 3 hours. Please do not. So yeah, there were a lot of jokes, but yeah.
And okay, so when
and also altitude. I don't know if it was altitude or just my body, trying to recover. But every night when I would lie down, my heart would start really pumping, and I would have to actually go through breathing exercises to kind of calm myself down and try to get to sleep.
Lucky enough we do them, right?
And lucky enough we do them. Breathing exercise, people, if you haven't heard of it before, reach out.
Yeah, exactly. That's a game changer. I was Wim Hof did himself, right? He actually was proving, again, because he's not only doing it, he's proving it, right?
Yeah.
With anytime he will figure out something, he will just call the scientist, guys, look how it's done.
Figure it out.
Yeah, you don't need pills, just do this. And he actually found out that people who and proved that people who are used to breathe through the nose and can breathe through the nose very efficiently, they don't get the altitude disease, or at least they get it later or very mild symptoms, just because you really, really regulate your breathing through the nose. Nose breathing also releases you the nitric oxide. Yeah. So you have better circulation everywhere and better efficiency of the oxygen getting to the tissues. So
no, I'm going to try that for the next mountain. I mean, on a daily. Keep doing this until the next mountain and see how it changes.
Have you been trying it? When you were going, were you thinking about nose breathing or not?
I was thinking about you have no idea. I was thinking about 2 things. One, why is it so important to be uncomfortable in life so that you can be comfortable in life? It was literally like a voice in my head. You need to be uncomfortable so you can get comfortable. It seems like a no-brainer, but you don't understand these things until you put yourself in circumstances that are not comfortable. Yeah. And there were so many people around who were really struggling. And you're like, it's fine, it'll pass. Just breathe through it. And breathing. The second thing was breathing. I actually used it through the summit push when I twisted my ankle, every night when I was trying to sleep, to calm myself down. Anytime I felt I wouldn't say panic rise, but that, that feeling of, oh my God, what am I doing? Rise.
Well, that's the sympathetic telling you like you don't want to be here, really.
Yeah, and your body is react. I mean, it's not like you've just woken up from the nicest of sleep, and nicest of nutrition one day, and you decided, oh, today I'm going to climb the mountain. You've had days before that where you're eating stuff that your body's probably used to or not used to, and you're not sleeping well enough, and your strain is really, really high every single day, no matter what you're doing. Even on your rest day, your strain is reasonably high. So
yeah, well, it doesn't take one day to recover from 4 days of being completely
so
fucked,
you do that summit push on like pretty much that's the last thing you do, which means that your body's already been through all that, and then you have to do like a little bit more. And honestly, the training really helped. I probably was one of the fittest there. Yet mental is something else. Like, you can train your body as much as you want, but nothing prepares you for the mountains, and nothing prepares you for how your mind starts to react in these circumstances.
Well, when was the time you sent me the message that this is way harder than I thought? I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know how I will even make it.
The night before the summit.
the last night there, yeah? Yeah, so, that was the answer. Like, don't think about it too much. Don't think about how you will make it. Just focus on the next step.
Yeah.
Because you will make it. And then we were talking about this even before you went. Like, you will finish it. I didn't have doubt about that. However, it's like how comfortable or uncomfortable you will be finishing, and what will be the consequences for the body eventually.
Yeah.
Right?
So, strangely enough, apart from the ankle that was swollen like a little football because of the twist, and because I was on it.
How it happened?
It was walking in the dark, and I just took I was distracted for a second.
Just a bad step, yeah?
But just a bad step, yeah.
Okay. So apart from that,
the rest of the body was 100% okay. There was fatigue. There was no pain. Mm-hmm. And the recovery was pretty good.
Well, that's a win itself.
That's a win itself. Yeah.
And so what about head? What about mind?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
What was the self-talk you had
so this was the summit day. So this was the summit day. We started, I think, a little later. It was 4:30, I want to say, or 5. And so it was a reasonably long enough to sleep, except I couldn't sleep. I was having these breathing things, and there were like a couple of people who were unwell that day as well. It got really bad for them, and they decided to kind of stay back. Recovery, as you saw, was 1%. The strain the previous day was 20.5%, and that was like 20.5. I think I averaged 20.5 almost all the 4 or 5 days. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I wake up, do everything, get ready. I'm roped in with this guy. Again, we start by 5, and within the first half an hour, took a bad step, twisted my ankle, and it started swelling up. There was no pain. I knew I'd not broken anything. It was not like a sprain, but I don't know what it is. And my feet generally hurt a lot because of those boots. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have blisters all around. It wasn't as bad as some of the other people, but it was.
That doesn't mean it's not bad.
Yeah, it didn't peel off and ooze blood, but it was painful. Mm-hmm. And wrong step. And anyway, we start walking up this mountain, and you're just like one step after the wind is picking up, and it just seems like a never-ending road. All you can do is you look up and you see a few dots of lights somewhere on the top of the mountain. Everything else is black, which means those people have reached there. And then you look back and there are some more dots, and you can see the people are behind. And at one point, I remember thinking, I was so physically exhausted. I was like, I just want to sit down for like 5 minutes, have a hot coffee, like just chill the heck down. But I was doing that.
Delivery service.
Yeah, Zomato people, come on. Zomato on the mountains. What a great idea. Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, come on, guys. Helicopter delivery.
Yeah, why not? But I was there, and it was really hard. It was just really hard to keep one foot in front of the other. I was like, okay, you know what? Think about something happy. Like, think about your family, think about your nephew, think about like your friends, think about something really good that went down. Nothing was coming to me. Like, usually I can change my moods really, really quickly. Like, I can go from being extremely irritated to absolutely normal. And like, I can do the switch really fast. Mm-hmm. This switch wasn't happening. And I was like, okay, find something to be motivated about. Okay, you have like new things at work and something else happening. Just like find something within you not happening. And then I was like, you know what? Don't think. I just put one foot in front of the other. Breathe in from your nose, breathe out through your mouth. Just keep going. Because stopping is not an option. You're down in the middle of the mountain. What are you going to say? Hey, can I take the elevator down? No, you can't take the elevator down. Damn it, you have to climb up. So yeah, it was a lot of.
So basically, that was you getting into present moment, right? Because you were trying to find it. You know, there's like, okay, let's think about what is going to be at work and family and this and that, and then you're like, well, fuck it.
Yeah, but you know, you see all this Instagram thing and it's like, hey, be present. Like, so easy, be present. Just think about here and now. Like, don't think about anything. No.
But you got there.
I got there.
But it took a while.
It took a while. It was really hard for me. And for me, I mean, I know that I'm fairly strong mentally. And I can work with my mind really, really well. Like, I kid you not, I can go from wanting to like burst into tears to crazy laughter in 15 minutes. It'll just probably take me a song or like something that like just does the shift. It was so hard that just wasn't happening. I was just like, you know, burn the why, find the why and burn it.
But you know, like that's similar experience physiologically and mentally what you have in the ice bath, right? The only difference is that in the ice bath, you can step out in the worst case. There,
yeah,
you really can't.
But the thing is that doing that prepares you for this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's the whole idea,
that's
right?
The whole idea.
The ice bath is not about the ice.
So you understand the concept, but you don't really get it until this happens.
Yeah. Until you need to use it,
Until you need to use it. And you're thinking, and you're trying, at that point, it almost comes naturally. You're like, okay, breathe. Like, I didn't have to coach, I didn't have this checklist of things that I'll do if things go bad. You just you're just like, okay, breathe. That's it. What calms you down? Breathe in.
You worked with what you had.
I worked with what I had. I'm so glad I had that.
You had that skill set.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I could see some of the people like breathing, panic breathing through their mouth. And I was like, so many times I was like, okay, just stop. Just in, out, just maintain the rhythm, match your step to that breath if you can. Just keep going. And that actually really, really helped. It was one of the most helpful things, I think, on the mountain.
No, I always remember in a little bit more stressful or more critical situations, whatever it is, that I think it's coming from Buddhism or somewhere, not sure, but it's just the idea of think about what you actually, but like really truly actually need right now. Nothing.
Yeah, you know, I was just trying to find the answer to
like
that.
Right now, you don't need to eat. Right now, you don't need to drink. You don't need to. Right now, you don't need to go for a toilet. You don't need more money. Right now, you don't need. You don't need
like a fancier car.
Yeah,
you don't need
exactly. Like it's like, and that is a way to actually focus on what is in front of you.
Yeah.
More than anything else, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't need to do anything. So, I'll do one more step.
Yeah.
Or I'll do one more rep.
Yes.
Or I'll do one more breath.
Yes.
In the ice bath, you know, and in that moment you don't need to do anything else. Just be there.
Step.
Just the next step. That's
it. It's so simple, yet so mind blowing when you actually really just get it. It just take the next step. How do you summit a mountain? Take the next step.
Yeah, exactly. You need to take the next one anyway before you do all the others.
Exactly. Right? So just focus on that.
That's why I believe that many people are actually saying how it's very transforming, this kind of experience, because you can read all the books about this, you can do all the preparation you want until you really experience it.
Yeah, and this I was telling this to somebody else, and the guys, Life Happens Outdoors has this tagline, right? It says, "Come back different." And every time I read that, I kind of giggle a little. I was like, oh, come back different. Let's see what happens. I actually came back different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how long that change lasts, but you just, like, I know that there's a certain part of me that's kind of left behind on the mountain, which is just change something about how I am. Now, how that transfers into everything else remains to be seen, but it is. And if you haven't done it, I'm not saying that this was the hardest mountain. It probably wasn't. But for me, it was my first. So,
But it was also
it was my first.
It was maybe your the most needed appropriate experience for where you were at that moment, right?
Exactly. I'll come back to that point in a minute. But it was really funny. But the guy who runs the show, Rami, was asking me. He was like, "So, have you done anything before?" I was like, "No." He was like, "So, have you hiked before?" I was like, "Yeah, went to Ras Al Khaimah." He was like, "Okay." Was it like a intense hike? I'm like, "Oh no, we were there for like 4 or 5 hours, out of which 1.5 hours was spent sitting by like some water body and having lunch." He's like, "So you literally never done anything before?" I'm like, "No." So he's like, "Have you camped before?" I'm like, "No, maybe once 15 years ago I slept in a friend's car on a mountain, but that's it." He was like, "When it says Mont Blanc for first timers, it means first timers who are like introduction to alpine mountaineering or introduction to like a different form of, not that you went to Ras Al Khaimah, ended up in Mont Blanc."
Yeah, like not first time ever outside. Amy is on a Kilimanjaro now.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear how it's gone for her.
Me too. I don't actually know what phase it is now, but yeah, she was like, out of connection, out of internet, nothing.
Is she back to civilization or?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's happening like somehow right now, but I don't have any updates. But I'm very curious because it's going to be very similar, probably.
Yeah, similar, a different kind of mountain, but
similar experience.
So a lot of these people on this trip had already done Kilimanjaro, and they kept talking about. I was like, okay, why do I need to? And they kept saying, you have to do Kili, you have to do Kili. I'm like, why do I need to do Kili? And this guy goes on saying, "Oh my God, I puked so much. I did this. This was so crap. I almost, blacked out of because of altitude sickness. But you must do Kili." And I was like, "You spend the whole day telling me what a shit experience you had, and then you tell me go do Kili." He's like, "There's something about. I mean, you will come back different." So I suppose that's a thing about doing any of these things that.
Well, then for you, mission accomplished, right? If the point is to come different, then this was
and on the summit day, in fact.
So by the way, can you say a little bit more about so the Mont Blanc itself didn't happen because of the weather?
It didn't happen because.
So what were you climbing and how it was like? Was it you climb a day, then you come back, and then you climb a different?
So Mont Blanc is also is like that. There are 2 huts on the way up. When I say huts, they're more like dormitories, not like the Indian huts. But
Got it.
With a fully functioning toilet, no running water, but hey, toilet paper's there.
Yeah.
But so you climb you ascend to the first hut, spend the night there. For Mont Blanc itself, I think next day early morning, most people wake up and do the summit push. And then kind of, instead of having to come all the way back down, they come to the first hut and kind of spend the night there and then the next day. So it's usually all these summit pushes are about 2 or 3 days.
Okay, so you got checkpoints on the way.
You have checkpoints on the way because it's a mountain. Unlike Kili, which is, I'm assuming, way longer just the way it is. It's
I have no idea.
Okay, so so we didn't do Mont Blanc because of the weather. Then we drove into Italy. Best food ever. That pasta and that tiramisu, oh my God, I'll take it any day. I saw the soup and I was like, if anybody else had given me soup anywhere else, I'd be like, no, not happening. 2 full bowls of it. I mean, the fact that you have hot food on the mountain in the evening to bring you back to life, that's something. But anyway, so it was Monte Rosa. Monte Rosa is again like a series of 4,000 something meter mountains strung together. So we did. I did 2 of them. 2 of the mountains in Monte Rosa. A couple of them did 3 mountains on the same day. I think the second one involved a lot of climbing up. There was like this huge rock formation, 50, 70 feet that you had to climb up. And climb is not like a pretty ladder. There's a rope. You're just holding on to your life, and there are these iron steps. Like iron bars as steps, and you have crampons on, so you're still using your crampon to just step from one to the other. And for a short person, it's not the easiest thing. Like my squat is really deep, but honestly, climbing that was not fun. So that was.
So every move up is a deep squat, yeah.
Every move
with
up
all the gear
and down is a deep squat, and with all that gear. So
good.
yeah,
I'm glad we did.
The training came in handy.
Good.
So yeah, that's when like the guy, I was just telling Timia this before we started. I was like, that was the point for me. That was that you feel that change. So that guy ahead of me was like saying something. Usually, you know how it is. You have to climb. You're focused on the goal. You just go. So I stopped and actually looked back. There's like 150, 200 feet, blank drop, nothing there, and all you can see is clouds and mountains, and just like little tiny black dots of people all around. And at that point, it just kind of like I was so fatigued, right? Because my ankle's been hurting since like 4 in the morning. It's almost 11, 12 in the afternoon. You're tired. You haven't really had a break as such. And honestly, how much food can you eat at like 5 in the morning? You can't. So you're like running low on energy. And then you look around and you think, just like the universe gives you what you want when you need it, not when you want it, not when you ask for it, but when it thinks it's the right time to give it to you. At that point, I was just standing there. I remember thinking, oh my God, you're like this tiny little speck of dirt occupying space in this world, renting space in this world. And you just think that all of your problems are like so much bigger. Like look around, the universe is way bigger than that. It kind of makes sense. And now, at least in the last few days, I was like, anytime I've hit like any unpleasantness or something happened, I'm like, is this really worth anything? No, if it isn't, let it go.
The insignificance.
Yeah, the insignificance of it all. No, it's still, I won't say I've reached that nirvana state just yet. It still matters at that point. But then half an hour later, I'm able to sit back and think, this is nothing. Just like kind of.
But I mean, like seeing the scale of it versus you and, as you said, your problems and stuff, like it just hits you like how insignificant
you are, you little tiny piece of.
Yeah. What a self-talk.
I know, right?
Very good. Okay, so and then when it's done, or?
When it's done. You come back into, again, one of the small places. I mean, you have to take cable cars down the mountain at some point, and then you arrive at this beautiful place where you see pizza, like hot pizza and coffee for the first time. And you're like, give it to me. And then you have like this farewell dinner, which was again one of the most beautiful things. And then you. And
so
then
you did the singing as well?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, you need to do the...
I did I lip sync.
Okay.
So
okay, you need to do the Kilimanjaro then, because I think they do the Hakuna Matata singing there. Yeah.
So we had Philippe, who it was his last climb of the season, one of the mountain guides. So he actually got out his piano. Now he's very well known for taking his piano to summits, and he actually plays the piano on his summits.
Piano.
Can you believe it? He actually takes it.
Like a keyboard.
Like a full proper keyboard.
Not like a full wooden piano
not
dragging
like
behind you. Okay,
not like a piano, but a full keyboard.
Okay.
And he takes them to the summits. He's, I think, the first man who's done an 8,000 meter summit and played piano on top. So Philippe did a brilliant performance for our farewell night. And then you kind of call it quits, say bye to everybody. And next morning you kind of go back.
Wow.
So yeah.
What is the plan for the next one? Or are you already thinking about this?
So Rami asked me this when we were leaving. He was like, are you going to do one? I was like, I hate this. I hate you. Just not going to happen again. He was like, you'll go down. You'll tell a friend or two about your stories. And then next thing you know, you'll be signing up. And honestly, 3 days ago, I was actually looking through their website. I was like, oh, I know I want to do it with these guys. So I'm like, what next?
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, I know my mom's might watch this at some point as well, and I know that if I tell you like this leg splash will continue for eternity, for now we'll just pretend like we're taking a pause.
Yeah, well, you know what is the best doing off season?
What?
Getting fitter. So
I asked for that.
Getting overall fitter. So yeah. CJ, thank you so much. Is there anything extra you want to share?
No, that's pretty much it.
Pretty much it.
Yeah.
In a very short version of it, but
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is very interesting, very inspiring, and probably will pump few people.
Well, I'm hoping that if somebody can hear the story, and I mean, it's pumped a lot of people at work. A lot of people have come out to anything you do next. Want to sign up? Yeah,
it's like this kind of experience you can't stop thinking and talking about, right?
No,
because you want everybody to have the same experience. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.